Thanks, David. Thanks for inviting me. I am probably the guy who knows least about retail in this room, and also least about commerce. So we built an entire commerce company without anyone who had ever done commerce before. Why did we do that? Well, we did it because we think there's a revolution happening right now in the world of commerce, in the world of digital in general. You have to remember, the internet is quite old by now. It came about 25, 30 years ago. It reached mass adoption, but all of a sudden things are changing. Not just because we were going mobile, many reasons. I'll come into some of them right now. As David said, Depop launched a year ago, has grown into over 1 million users in the UK alone. Most people log into Depop 8 times per day. So this is not the kind of classic shopping platform where you go in with a specific purpose of buying stuff or a specific purpose of selling stuff. This is a place where you hang out. And that's quite interesting because commerce or shopping was old. It was always social, it was always fun. If we go down to the very history, the first manifestations of retail was probably the village markets, the fairs, where people came to buy and sell. Before currency was invented, they bartered, they swapped, and very importantly, they came to socialize and share news. And the whole idea of shopping alone is something that's quite new, right? You would go to a market and you would buy from people that were recommended by other people. You would kind of hold it up and say, is this the right thing for me? And you'd ask the people around. And the reputation of the buyer, who you were buying from, was really important. And even the reputation of the seller, right? I think if you were a high-profile buyer, you'd probably get better deals at a market like this. Now, as with any other phenomenon, big innovations come along and they change the basics, and commerce has been changed to the root a few times. The Industrial Revolution brought us lots of things, right? It brought us transport links with trains. It brought us the telegraph. It brought us mass production. And all of a sudden, urbanization happened. Towns became bigger. Markets became shops. We got the high streets. And all of a sudden, it wasn't about trading and bartering anymore. It was actual retail, but it was still very social, right? These businesses were normally family run. The employees were members of the family. You'd come in there, and you would not go just there to shop. You would also go there to have a good time. It was a social experience. Then the car happened. And again, it's not the day that the car was invented that this happened. It was the day when everyone got rich in the post-war era and started to buy a car. All of a sudden, suburbia started. People used their cars to live outside the city. And instead of going into the town centers, the first nail in the coffin of the high street was the mall, where all of a sudden people would drive to. Again, the mall was a hangout place. It was also a place where you go to socialize and have fun. Then computers happened. You started having the barcode. You started having really optimized supply chain systems, and the mass mega stores came out. Walmart being one of them, but many others as well. And then recent history, internet happened, and if you look at it, Amazon is really just Walmart with an online interface, right? Amazon should never have existed. If Walmart caught the internet from day one and did what Amazon did, there wouldn't have been room for Amazon. There might have been a bookshop. Then if Borders had figured out their e-commerce from day one, there wouldn't be an Amazon bookstore either. But the really interesting thing is that what we know as e-commerce was everything was modeled on this. It was everything modeled on Walmart. So even the small shop in East London, when they have their e-commerce, all of a sudden, where's the shopkeeper? Where's the personal quirkiness? Where's anything, right? All of a sudden, it's this little shop looking like their big Walmart impersonal experience, contact forms here, you get a reply in 3 days. Doesn't work. So I think somewhere along the evolution of commerce into e-commerce, we completely lost the fun and social part. And I don't regret to be moved to here, and I'm pretty sure that the future is going to be better than the past, and we don't want to go back to the kind of old commerce that we had. So I'm not saying that the past was better. What I am saying is, look, e-commerce still only accounts for 5 to 10% of retail revenues generated in the Western world, which basically means e-commerce is at a very early stage still, and a lot is about to happen. So e-commerce is limited by that approach, and I think now that the next revolution is happening, which is mobile and social. So mobile and social are revolutionizing commerce as they're revolutionizing everything else, because it's starting to blur the lines between what's offline and online. And as that revolution happens, a lot's going to happen to e-commerce, and I think they're going to overcome that initial barrier of saying an e-commerce is basically a Walmart on a computerized screen. So this is the reality that we looked at when we started Depop. We started out of our own needs. We wanted to sell stuff. We wanted to help friends who had small little shops to sell stuff, and it was complicated. And meanwhile, everyone was walking around with their smartphones, taking pictures on Instagram in an instant, and it was so easy. So we knew from day one it had to be mobile and it had to be social, and above all, it had to be easy. But also, it had to be fun and social. Kind of how do we recreate this feeling of shopping that these girls have? This is pure joy, right? It's not functional shopping, going in, searching for something, looking for the optimized checkout flow, frictionless experience. This is lots of friction, right? That's what they want. So we came up with Depop, which basically is a way for anyone to buy or sell in an instant. It's easy. You'll see it's built pretty much like a social network. You can follow people that you like. So whenever they like something or they sell something, you see it in your feed. You can like stuff. You can comment. You can chat directly with the buyer as if this was WhatsApp. So no more waiting for the contact form. You just chat. And you buy inside the app, all handled by PayPal. We take care of you if anything goes wrong. So there's a security element as well. Then we have an editorial selection where we choose what we like. Again, there's no algorithm showing this what we like. This is pure editorial. And we always say we're going to be algorithmically editorializing the day that the Vogue magazine is produced by a computer. So not anytime soon. And the last bit here is your shop. So if you want it, you can have a shop. It takes 30 seconds to list the product. And with that, your payment is settled. Everything is ready. You can just go and sell. So that's my way of describing it. The social media manager of ASUS just described it last week as eBay and Instagram having a baby, basically. So I thought, just think of that. Don't forget what I said. So that makes it into a social marketplace. What's a social marketplace? It's a place where every single item has a story. Now, if you look at the far left here, IdeaBooks is a little shop that's occupying a small corner in Dover Street Market. It's renowned by all stylists in the world, and every time they come to London, they would always go to IdeaBooks to pick up the latest fashion books and style books. Then David Owen, who runs this, discovered actually Instagram is quite cool. Let's post our books on Instagram. And he started selling more on Instagram than he sold in the shops. But still, it was a painful experience. He had to email back and so forth and so on. So when Depop came out, he jumped on it quite early. Now he has hundreds of thousands of followers on Depop. And every time he gets a new book in, he snaps a picture. He puts a little story around it. This is a book around a famous New York nightclub. It's produced in 1,000 editions, and I think he has around 5 of those. And he's saying this is going to be a vintage book by the end of November. Now, David knows his stuff. If he says this is going to be a vintage book by the end of November, you can trust him. And if you want to know more about him, just hit the chat button. He will be the one responding. He's passionate about every single book that he's selling. So it's going to be a good experience. It's about who you buy from. You can see this one has been liked many, many times. So this will be already now, you can go in and see who liked this. And if you go and see who liked this, and if you know the stylists of the world, you'll see many of those names in there. And you'll know it's a real book. Next guy here is not famous as such, but in the sneaker community, and I don't know if you know the sneaker bubble, but the sneaker bubble is basically guys investing in sneakers that are going to be rare very soon. This is a Nike Air Max 90 called Independence Day. The red ones are apparently the ones to get. This was produced last year, sold in a limited edition for £90. Crepe Collector here sold his pair last week for £320. Now he sold it because people know that if he's selling a sneaker, it means this is the right sneaker to buy. It also means that if I'm selling a sneaker, I will hope that Crepe Collector will like my item, because if he likes my item, all of a sudden that item gets worth a lot more. It will sell a lot faster. So the seller has a history, the buyer has a history, and the items build up a history. And what we're trying to experiment with is now, okay, what if I want to sell that again? Can I sell that again with the history, with the likes, with the comments that the original item had? Maybe that's the future. The last one here is, won't go further into that, but it's a fashion blogger. She has 3 million Instagram followers. And she thought, well, rather than selling other people's stuff and just promoting other people's stuff, I have a bursting wardrobe, so let me sell 1 or 2 items every day. So she does, and people pick it up instantly, of course, because people want a piece of her. So they're buying this shoe, which basically has a piece of her in. When they sell this shoe, you can be sure they'll mention, I bought it from her. And they'll probably tag Chiara Ferragni, which is her name. And right now, Chiara Ferragni is working on getting her own brand onto Depop, and she's going to selling her own brand. So these are the kind of new types of retailers that we see coming up. These are sometimes individuals, sometimes small operations. Chiara Ferragni has a team of 10 operating her business, so she's not an individual. But why is this relevant for larger retailers, as I assume you guys are? Well, it's relevant because I think the next breed of successful retailers, the ones that will ride this revolution well, are going to be the ones who are social media, digitally native. This is Philip Normal. He used to run a shop in Camden. He stopped running that shop because it became too much hassle, and he went on selling on new online platforms. He's selling on a few online platforms. I asked him yesterday, so what makes Depop stand out for you? And he said, well, it's the most fun platform to sell on, definitely. He's always doing exceptionally well. He's one of our best sellers. He sold 2,000 items in a matter of a few months. But he says, Depop is this social, it's a social media. So it breaks down all barriers between the seller and the buyer, and people will ask him questions about anything, not just his stuff. They'll ask him questions about something that they want to buy from someone else on Depop and say, is this something I should buy? Does this fit with your style? Or they go into the items that Philip likes, and they'll buy from there. So again, if you're selling something on Depop and you get him to like it, you'll sell. Same with the sneaker seller. They keep getting asked by other sellers saying, is this sneaker genuine? Should I buy from this guy? Do you know that guy? Yes, I know this. Or they look, is this guy being followed by Crepe Collector? Oh, if he is, he must be genuine. And then you buy. So that's trust beyond the star rating, right? In the old school marketplace, we didn't have stars. Here's a 5-star stall, here's a 3-star stall. I'll go to the 5-star stall. Trust is so much more complicated than that. It's social. So I think the next megatrend of this mobile social commerce should be a big opportunity for retailers, because people crave, in this over-commoditized world, people crave items with a history, with identity. They crave buying from someone that they can actually trust and have a conversation with. And retailers, that's what you do, right? You take people in and you have a conversation with them. The only change here is they won't come into your stores anymore at the same level. So you'll have to go where they are. But tools such as Depop, there'll be others as well. You can just go out there and you can put your store in front of people and put yourself in front of people. So it doesn't have to be this faceless Amazon-like store. It can be you. So listen to your social media manager. They are likely to be someone who is quite similar to your coming store manager, right? The social media manager is not there just to do marketing, because if the store moves out there into the social media, they're going to be store managers. And just to give you one example before I leave, it's not just being used by quirky people in South London and East London trying this out. So the big name retailers are starting to dip their toes in. One of them is ASUS. how does ASUS approach something like Depop? But they don't see it as yet another channel to maximize. They see it as a combination between the social media and commerce. And rather than just putting all their current stock onto Depop, which they can do now, so we've launched multiple sizes, multiple quantities, because we were asked literally by hundreds of shops and retailers. But they are doing one-off sales once a month, every first Sunday in a month. They will put some of their samples that never go into their real shop onto Depop. And they'll tweet about it, and it's all gone in 5 minutes. So this is literally ASUS doing what Nike is doing with their limited editions stores in New York, where you see the hundreds of people standing in line for 3 days. This is ASUS doing the same thing on a platform like Depop. So remember, had to be cheesy, right? A bookstore is more than a selection of books. And you retailers know that. And I think in the next wave of internet commerce, you can use that fact to your own advantage. Thank you.